John Spady, social entrepreneur and civic engager. John Spady was born in Seattle in 1956, but during the second grade, his family moved to Lake Sammamish in Bellevue. I met Mr. Spady when I started interning for American Immigration Forums, where he is a mentor. This organization aims to engage the public in an immigration-based dialogue. This is one of many organizations that Mr. Spady is involved in. So, how did Mr. Spady grow up to be the man that he is today? And who were his influences?
I remember being in school when President Kennedy was shot. I was at Interlake Elementary School when there was an Interlake Elementary School.
Mr. Spady later graduated from Interlake High School in 1974. And who's his biggest influence in his life? His father, Dick Spady, founder of Dick's Burgers.
He was known to a lot of people as the owner of Dick's Drive-In Restaurants. But Dad was more than just about burgers. He was very interested in how organizations operated. And eventually he broadened his search and was interested in all organizations. He eventually settled on government because he thought that was the quintessential civic opportunity for citizens to have a real role in their government, to be of public service.
So, does John Spady believe that the government makes people safe?
I would say keep people safe instead of make people safe. There's a distinction there. In this world, life is unpredictable. You never know. I consider myself a liberal type of voter. I'm not a card-carrying member of any political party. While most people would call themselves progressive Democrats in our community, I call myself a communitarian Democrat. I believe in the power and the hope of community, of people coming together to support one another no matter what their political outlook is.
Communitarianism is part of the belief that the individual has a vital responsibility to the community. Mr. Spady strongly believes in this ideology because he advocates that if people can come together and better understand the opinions and values of others, we can all have a better sense of who we are individually and as a nation.
We don't have to always agree. We can disagree, but we should do so with an appreciation for the people from all walks of life, even those that we don't agree with. But I think government tries its best to help keep us safe. Sometimes in helping to keep us safe, they seem overhanded. So there's a balancing act between living off the grid, living your own life, and living as part of a community. So I think we have rules, we have laws, as a country of laws, hopefully well-intentioned laws, that are an important part of living in community and working together.
So, how has John Spady impacted our community?
A lot of that came from my dad again. Dick's Drive-In is the engine that drives everything else that I'm able to do. The other organizations, my father started something called the Forum Foundation. I was just, with my father's passing, who was the president for years, I was elected to replace him recently to help other organizations use the tools and the processes that my father laid down. So we're looking for opportunities to give micro grants to lots of organizations. And my father created was the Stuart C. Dodd Institute for Social Innovation. With the models that my father created, we have experience doing civic engagement at the city, the county, and the state level. And I created the National Dialogue Network. There's an interesting dance now of the organizations which I'm involved with.
Even though I was born and raised in Bellevue, my upbringing differs a little bit from Mr. Spady's in the way that none of my parents were really that big on community engagement or political involvement. But like Mr. Spady, I see the importance of involving all people of different backgrounds in a political conversation. Since my dad immigrated to the US in high school and my mom in her 30s, I have heard of and observed the different struggles that immigrants face as both adolescents and grown adults. Through my exposure to underrepresentation and social issues in my personal life and observations in the news in general, I was drawn to organizations like American Immigration Forums to give communities a voice that they might not have had the platform for before. Mr. Spady's organization allowed me to learn more about the different perspectives. Fundamentally, we are both very different people in terms of our race, gender, age, and background. But regardless, we both share the ideals of community involvement due to the experiences we've had in our respective lives. John Spady's efforts to strengthen public engagement have enforced his communitarian outlooks, and the public is most certainly benefiting from his long-time devotion.